Explorers. Now, this movie came out, I think, in 84. Let's see.
85.
It's 84 or 85.
Should be 85.
It should say, yeah, 85. You're right. Uh, but this movie came out in 85. And this pick it was chosen by King 81. And I'm going to read the basic summary of it. Young Ben Crandall, Ethan Hawke, we all know Ethan Hawke, he's in Training Day and a whole bunch of movies, spends his free time watching sci-fi films, playing video games, and reading comic books. Surprisingly, his affinity for all things fantastical yields a real result when he has a vivid dream about technology. The science-loving friend Wolfgang Muller, River Phoenix, and we all know who River Phoenix is. He died relatively young. In fact, I think Walking Phoenix is his brother, right?
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken. Which is funny because it's like River Phoenix got all the looks. Walking Phoenix looks like, I don't know. I've never particularly cared for Walking Phoenix's performances. Everyone talks about how he's this great thespian. Every time I see him, I just think he's mediocre. But that's just me. See, Wolfgang River Phoenix manages to create a working spacecraft. Joined by their buddy Darren Woods, Jason Preston, the boys take off into outer space and encounter some very odd extraterrestrial life. All right, now next we're going to watch King 81's clip of the movie to give the audience a little feel. Oh, before that, let's talk a little bit about some of the Dick Miller's in this movie, and I forgot he was in this movie. He was in a lot of movies in the 80s. He just has one of those classic looks to him. But he was in the Gremlins and a few other things from the 80s and early 90s. Anyway, let's go to the clip here.
Trip permission slips. Let me just remind you, they have to be in by Wednesday. Now, yesterday we briefly covered the field of physiology. Would anyone like to review that for us today?
We launch. All right.
All right. So that's the little clip to see, get a basic feel of the movie. And I thought that was a good clip, by the way, King 81, to kind of show kind of like the essence of the movie. So next I'm going to read the... Oh, actually, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I have my mic muted. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. So next I'm going to read the critical reception. First, I'll read the box office because that kind of ties into it. Explorers was released on July 12th, King 81's birthday. I mean, not King 80, but Johnny Mozzarella's birthday,
Got two
1985,
birthdays.
on 1,750 theaters, which turned out to be the same weekend as the Live Aid concert, which was being broadcast. Back to the Future had also opened the previous week on July 3rd, Wednesday, and dominated the summer. Explorers suffered badly its opening weekend and afterwards quickly disappeared. By the end of its run in theaters, it earned $9,873,000.44. Um, when the Los Angeles Times compared the film with other commercial failures that summer, a Paramount executive responded, "Here was a wonderful piece of material, but by the time it came out, you felt as though you had already seen it." Many of the international markets released the film later in December of that same year. Critical reception. Um, the film fared better in video rentals and cable broadcasters and garnered positive reviews from critics. Kevin Thomas of the Los Angeles Times said Explorers itself is a bubble thin, but it glides by gracefully on the charm of its three young heroes and their vividly envision adventure in space. Of all the Spielberg-inspired fantasy films afoot at the moment, Explorers is by far the most eccentric. It's charmingly odd at some moments, just plain goofy at others, said Janet Maslin in her review of the New York Times. The film holds a 72% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 21 reviews and an average rating of 5.9 out of 10. The site's consensus status, with a terrific young cast, including Ethan Hawke with River Phoenix, and some typically energetic work from director Joe Dante, Explorers soars past its 80s kiddie flick competitors with wit, good-looking effects, and tons of charm. Metacritic gave the film a score of 58 based on 14 reviews, indicating mixed or average reviews. Over time, Explorers has gained a cult following among fans of Dante's work, as well as science fiction fans and those who feel it's an overall family-friendly film. All right, so King 81, since it's your pick, please give us your overall thoughts of the film, why you think it's underrated, and then we'll end with your rating.
Okay.
Okay.
I picked
I
the
picked the
film
film
because like
because
during
like
that
during that
time,
time,
it,
it,
it's
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 like
like
I
I
remember
remember
relating to
relating
that,
to
like
that, like
using your
using your
imagination and
imagination and
actually
actually
seeing,
seeing,
kids
kids
like
like,
I won't
I
say
won't say
around my
around my
age,
age, but
just
just
kids
kids
actually,
actually,
you
you
know,
know,
actually
actually
having
having
this
this
ideal,
ideal,
just
just
wildly
wildly
ideal
ideal
of
of
going
going
to
to
space, and
space,
then
and
you
then you
got a
got a
friend
friend
that
that
created
created
this
this
device
device
that
that
makes a
makes a
bubble,
bubble,
and
and
then
then
they
they
have
have
to
to
figure
figure
out,
out,
hey,
hey,
look,
look,
how we're
how
going
we're
to
gonna
have
have
oxygen
oxygen
tanks
tanks
to
to
be
be
able
able
to
to
travel
travel
in
in
it.
it.
And
And
I don't know,
no,
this
this
is
is
real
real
imaginative,
adjective,
and
and
it's
it's
like,
like,
I
I
just
just
remember
remember
my
my
cousin.
cousin.
Shout
Shout
out
out
to
to
Van
Van
Gogh.
Gogh.
We
We
used to
used
do
to do
this
this
back in
back
the
in the
day.
day.
Being
Being
at
at
grandma's
grandma's
house,
house,
and
and
they
they
had
had
like
like
some
some
old
old
cars and
cars and
stuff
stuff
like
like
that,
that,
and
and
we would
we would
put
put
things
things
together
together,
just
just
like
like
how
how
they
they
were
were
doing in
doing in
that
that
movie
movie
as
as
well
well
too.
too.
So
So
I
I
really
really
like
like
related
related
to
to
that,
that,
and
and
it
it
just
just it just
felt
felt
cool and
cool and
stuff and
stuff and
all.
all.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
definitely
definitely
with the
with the
music,
music,
I
I
love
love
the
the
soundtrack. I
soundtrack. I
want to
want to
say
say
that it
that
was
was
done
done
by
by
Jerry
Jerry
Goldsmith.
Goldsmith.
Um,
Um,
Forgive
Forgive
me
me
if
if
that's
that's
not
not
right,
right,
but I
but I
think
think
that's
that's
who
who
the
the
person
person
is
is
on
on.
it. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
definitely
definitely
a
a
catchy
catchy
score.
score.
Um,
Um,
and
and
just
just
how
how
the
the
kids, like
kids,
you
and
were
like they were
saying,
saying,
the
the
kids
kids
really,
really,
the
the
movie
movie
did
did
really
really
ride on
ride
the
on the
kids
kids
and
and
how
how
like
like
they
they
were
were
acting and
acting
they
and they
helped.
helped.
It
It
was
was
goofy at
goofy at
times,
times,
but
but
it
it
was
was
just
just
so
so
interesting
interesting
how they
how
did
they
it.
did it.
Plus,
Plus
the
the
special
special
effects
effects,
too
too
was
was
very
very
good.
good.
I
I
really
really
enjoyed
enjoyed
that.
that.
Um,
Um,
and
and
one of
one
the
of the
things
things
that
that
I
I
didn't
didn't
enjoy,
enjoy,
I
I
felt
felt
like the
like the
movie
movie
at the
at the
end
end
was
was
cut
cut
short,
short,
and
and
then
then
like
like
finding out
finding out
later
later
on,
on,
that
that
they
they
had to
had to
cut
cut
pieces of
pieces
it, and
of it. And
even
even
the
the
director,
director,
um,
um,
this
this
wasn't
wasn't
the
the
intended
intended
vision
vision
that
that
he
he
actually
actually
had
had
for
for
some of
some
the
of the
scenes
scenes
and
and
things
things
like
like
that.
that.
So
So
it
it
threw it
threw it
off,
off,
but
but
I
I
still
still
enjoyed it.
enjoyed it.
I
I
just
just,
it's
it's
just at
just
the
at the
end,
end,
I
I
just
just
don't.
don't,
It's
it's
just
just,
it
it
seems
seems
like
like
you
you
should
should
be
be
getting
getting
more to
more to
find out
find
what
out what
happened
happened
instead of
instead of
just
just
way
way
how
how
it
it
ended.
ended.
I
And I
was
was
like,
like,
oh,
oh, man,
you
you
want to
want to
see
see
more
more
what's
of what's
happening, and
happening. And
then
then
you
you
just
just
basically
basically
find
find
out,
out,
spoiler
spoiler
alert,
alert,
um,
um,
that
that
these
these
aliens
aliens
that
that
actually
actually
contact,
contact,
took
took
them
them
while it was
while it was
flying. It
flying.
took
It
them
took
to
them
their
to their
ship,
ship.
and you up
And
there
you up there
thinking that
thinking
these
that these
aliens are
aliens are
just,
just, out, after some tour wise, and they're just kids. You find out that these aliens are actually kids that took their parents. And this right here is wacky. Took their parents' spaceship that basically was just joyriding, and then they get caught. And then it's so crazy at the end where it's like when the dad finds them and he sees like his daughter alien talking to this these kids and stuff like that, and he's just going off like blah 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 blah, blah. You can understand what he's saying, but then one of the kids was like, nah, that's their parents because you can see how they're acting, and it was just like I forgot what the saying was, but the kid said something. And then I just remember the dad alien said, and then like you can see the hand just come straight at it, and then it's like they threw the spaceship out of the when they threw the Earth, the kid's spaceship back to the Earth, and I mean it just felt rushed after that, and then the kids go back to the school, and then it's like it just goes off, and I was like, it just like I never really liked the ending of it, but then I found out later on, the director he didn't intend for it to end like that, so. But still, all in all, I still enjoyed it. It's just one of my childhood movies that related. Just having an imagination and being able to go out there and just put things together from around and having some vision doing this stuff. I mean, they had me thinking, oh yeah, we could come up with something like that. My uncles and they had these old computers and stuff, and we messing around with stuff and all. So, it's just all in fun. But I would say we have to give the movie. I say a 4. And like I said, it's all because how the end and nothing against the director on this. I just know how production is sometimes, but it's an enjoyable movie, and I really felt like it was underrated, especially at the time. It's a bad time when it came out. So, but other than that, it's still enjoyable to watch today. I mean, you really get to see the '80s effects and just how things look. I mean, it's just one of those '80s movies you can enjoy.
All right, okay. So you gave this 4, but you gave.
Well, I said 4.5. 4.5.
Okay.
I don't know. Didn't get the other half of the
So we're gonna move to Rotundo 83. Give us your overall thoughts and then your final rating.
Never seen this movie. So
You had
I
one
reserve
job.
judgment.
You had one job, Rotundo 83. One job in 2 weeks.
You know what?
To prepare for this podcast.
Hold on. I have never seen this movie. So I'm going to reserve judgment until I watch it tonight. Next week's podcast. Hey, I have 3 jobs. I have 3 jobs. So shut up.
All right, we're going to move.
Hey, Demetri, you got to make sure you put something in the comment, man. Once we release this, you got to put your review in the comment.
I definitely will. Thank you, Orlando.
All right, we're going to move to Johnny Mozzarella since Rotundo 83 came ill prepared.
Go easy on it, John. Go easy, man. Go easy. I'm telling you, man. You gotta let it marinate on you. Don't just go off of that scene. You gotta see the whole thing wise. But
listen here, man. The Explorers. I'll be trying to front. It took me about 3 or 4 times for me to finally get through the movie. I fell asleep on it, I think, twice. Matter of fact, me and Jesse fell asleep on it twice. But that might be a combination of lack of sleep. But when I finally did get through it, one of the things I noticed was, I think even one of the critics said it that you was just reading. It started off so strong. Like I really thought it started off strong, and I was excited up until they met the aliens. The movie just goes downhill after that. I mean, it's just bad. It's just really bad after they meet the aliens. It just went into straight up corny mode, and I was just like, okay, I think I'm done with this. The only thing I really liked about the aliens was because I was watching, not watching, but I was reading up on it, and I liked how they, because it's the classic effects or whatever. So they were showing like old footage of them painting like the aliens' eyes and like all the little things that are on them. That part was cool. From an artistic standpoint, I can appreciate that because a lot of time and effort went into making them look the way they look. They look like disgusting. What are those?
90s, yeah.
Huh?
And the sound effects.
Yeah, they look
Yeah.
like some mutated, disgusting slugs or whatever. But I thought they really did a good job of just making them look otherworldly.
Yeah.
So I give them props on that. It has the look, but when I think about all the other great movies from that time period, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault. But when I think of like the Gremlins, or was that 80s? Yeah, that was 80s movies. Back to the Future. It just doesn't. It doesn't hold a candle to any of those. The Goonies, like all those great, never-ending story. Like there's so many great '80s kids movies. I feel like it probably couldn't stand out because those ones are so good. Like I still watch those movies today, and I'm like, okay, I can watch it all. I can watch it all the way through, and I can appreciate it. And even with the old special effects, I can still get through it. The Explorers, granted, I never even heard of this or watched it until we decided to do this podcast. So I don't have like the nostalgia like you do.
Wow, you didn't see this?
Watching it as a kid. So some of that might be, the reason why I feel like because I can't go back to that time period. I'm like, man, this makes me feel like a kid again. You know what I'm saying? So I may be a little biased, but just from an artistic standpoint, once they meet the aliens or whatever, I honestly feel like it goes downhill after that. It's not a bad movie, but it seemed like it was unfinished, or maybe his vision wasn't, maybe his vision, he couldn't get all his vision. Maybe, there were some issues with the budget. I have no idea, but you could just tell it just starts to nosedive once you meet the aliens. And I couldn't really get into it after that. I would say maybe a 2. I think a 2. For me personally, because I don't think I would ever. I know, right? I don't think I would ever watch it again. To be honest with you, I don't think I would ever watch this movie again.
Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't want them to make no remake because I can't see them doing that with this, man. It's just
I don't know. Maybe a remake is what it needs.
no.
But nah, for me, it's definitely just 2 bulbs.
So basically, you think it's either properly rated or a little overrated.
I think it's actually. No, I think it's appropriately rated. Yes, I think it's appropriately rated.
If you look at the film holds a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think that's a little high. But the average rating is a 5.9 out of 10, which I think is about right. It's average. Well,
that's about average. Yeah. Well, I guess a 2 would be average.
Yeah, it's average. 2 out of 5. Well, it would be 2.5, so you actually have a little bit below average.
I have a little bit low. Yeah, I have a little bit low average.
That's Ant-Man status right there.
All right.
I might have been. You know what's funny? I might have been a little too generous with Ant-Man.
I think Ant-Man will get my money back.
Right.
Yeah, Ant-Man was trash, man.
Yeah, it was.
Man. So and the crazy thing is, he has another movie out this week.
Yeah, Creed.
Oh yeah, Creed.
Yeah, Creed.
All right, so we're gonna move on to DJ Dave Darko. Give us your overall thoughts and then your rating on Explorers. I'll go back to the post video.
John stole my thunder. I was the same way when I watched it the first time. The build-up was so great. From the dream, and then all the little techie kids built the spaceship. And I thought they was gonna, get caught in the space and run into mind-reading horrible aliens that was gonna scare you and everything. And like, this thing, it just went. It just. Downhill after that, man. It's like once they get caught in the tractor beam and they go in there and they get out their little spaceship, turn it off, and it'll be a good movie. Anything after that, man, is just horrible. The alien love affair, stupid. Parents coming that are aliens. Oh, you stole the Cadillac. you had so much working with you. You know, they get a met scary alien that went so human-like and barely escaped and make it back to Earth. It would have been a solid film. So I'm gonna have to give them for the great start. I have to give them about a 2.5.
What?
2.5 ball.
Oh, okay, I thought you said 1.5.
Right?
I'm like, whew.
Because you got half
Sorry,
movie right.
Oh, man.
Trash. I tried. I liked it. You know, at the start, good to go. You know, just it's kind of like when you see those films now, and the director's going at it, filming everything, and then whoever's paying the money comes, hey, well, you gotta put this in there. And it's like they swapped out the alien or something like that, man. And they just went downhill. I'm sorry.
I know Brian's still trying to give me the same points for not seeing it, but from the little clip that I saw, it reminds me of Flight of the Navigator. And I like that movie, but I don't have the same connection with this movie.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah, I agree. I think Flight of the Navigator does something similar, but is a better movie. I think John and Uncle Dave pretty much have summed up my thoughts on this movie. I rewatched it a couple of days ago. And I'm surprised you didn't see it when you were kids, John, but I did. I do remember seeing that as a kid, but I couldn't remember it, so I rewatched it. And I will say, here's what I like. I like the purity of it. I liked that the kids seemed like kids. They weren't too innocent, but they weren't too grown. You know what I'm saying? I like the fact that they were like geeks who were interested in science and space and wanted to explore. You know, I think that's missing in our kids these days. Like, our kids don't even go outside and play anymore. You know, so I like that aspect of it. There's a good nature to it that I enjoyed. I like the dreamy kind of quality to it. In the one clip that Orlando shared with us, it had like a lens flare on it. You know, once they finished making it and stuff like that, I thought that was cool. Overall, though, I thought some of the writing was a little lackluster. Overall, though, I just think that this movie just doesn't reach the heights of movies that did similar things at the same time. And John kind of, said that too. And I think that's true. One thing I will push back on you guys is that I like the aliens. Maybe the abrupt nature of how it ended, I think King 81 is right about that. But the fact that they find other aliens and they realize that they're kids, I thought that was fun. I thought that was interesting. And it's a kids' movie, so I'm not expecting them to be some horrible aliens that are trying to eat them or something like that. But I liked the design of them. I thought they were funny. The alien-human love thing, that was kind of weird. I agree on that. DJ Dave Darko.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Sent them home real quick. And the whole movie.
But overall, I just think it's an average film. I think this movie, when it comes to the tomato rating, it's probably above average, quite above average. 72%, I think, is more of a... Well, I think 50% you get a splat. You don't get a tomato, right? I think you got to give above 50%. I don't think it's a splat. I think it's okay. It's an okay movie. I think it's an average movie. I think it's rated properly. So if I had to give it a rating, I would say a 2.5. 2.5 out of 5. I think it's an average flick. I don't think it, reached any new heights. Some of the Tron-like 3D special effects, it had some early, CGI, and I thought it was kind of, it was like, I do like how they did the clouds though. Like when they were flying, the way they did the clouds was really good. I just didn't like some of the 3D stuff.
Oh, you talking about in the beginning, or you talking about once they started flying?
Well, the clouds are both in the beginning and the end. Because in the beginning they're not flying, but at the end they are flying through. But like, the way they did the clouds, I thought it looked really surrealistic looking. I just didn't like the 3D Tron effects. I don't think it held up.
Wasn't it like the thing in the computer, like a little navigating thing?
Yeah, I don't think it quite held up.
When y'all watched the movie, did y'all watch it at 720 or did y'all watch it at like 4K or 1080p or whatever?
Mine was HD 1080p.
Yeah, I watched it on the 4K TV, and I instantly didn't like it. I actually went downstairs and watched it because the quality isn't as good, and I watched it at 720, and I enjoyed it better. It's like when you're watching it on the Crystal 4K TV, it's too clean, and I think it does 80s movies a disservice because
doesn't have the grain.
you know, like I want to see the grittiness and the grain. To me, it feels more like a movie.
VHS.
But especially an 80s movie, like I don't need to see everything nice and clean, you know, and clear. Because the special effects really look kind of cheesy when you're watching it with all those pixels or whatever. But I don't know, that's just me.
Yeah, so we're gonna move on. Sorry, King Eddie. But I will say
It's okay.
It didn't get like a bad rating. It's just I think it's properly rated. I don't think it. If you had to compare it to other movies of the time that were kids movies, I think they're better movies. Yeah.
But John and Uncle Dave gave me the Ant-Man though. Oh man. Well, you know what? Still got Dimitri, man. You can save us, man. Make sure you put your comment in the comment section below when when it comes out on the channel.
I definitely will, but I rarely just. All right, I hate to do this. I rarely agree totally with Brian on a movie. Like, there's been a few movies that we just totally like are on point with, but from what I've seen in this,
agree or disagree.
Like there's only one movie I totally disagree with you on, and that's Spider-Man 3. For some reason, you love that movie, and I hate that.
I thought Spider-Man 3. I don't think it was better. I don't love it, but I think Spider-Man 2 was better. I think Spider-Man 1 was better, but I don't think Spider-Man 3 was like this horrible travesty that everyone tried to make it out to be. I tell you what, Spider-Man 3 is better than Dark Knight Rises.
Oh God, yeah.
Rises.
But that was a mess, though.
That movie sucked, dude. But
anyway, I mean, I'm gonna try it. People out there, I'm gonna watch it tonight. And if it sucks in Orlando, I'm not going to sit there and hold back.
You're already late. We're going to move on to the next one. All right.